Excellent. Well, we are very excited about our guest today, who is no other than Sue Dick, president of the Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce, aka the Chamber. We've been wanting to have Sue on the blue seat for a while. Of course, the unique times that we're in, we don't quite have the blue seat in literal terms, but we are making accommodations and adjustments. So Sue, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for the invite. Looking forward to our discussion, and it's this important topic.
Good, thank you. And we are talking about what does social responsibility mean to big business and even to small business as well too. They all play a factor in the world of social responsibility and what we're doing to have vibrant communities. But the Tallahassee Chamber, 1,400 plus members, a 501c6 nonprofit organization as well, that has been around Tallahassee for how long now, Sue?
97 years.
97 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Sounds like a great 100th birthday is coming very, very soon.
It is in 2023, counting down towards it.
Yes. And so how long have you been with the Chamber now?
So I actually, on April 11th, I celebrated my 20th year as president and CEO. I've been in the building for 23 years.
Oh my goodness. How time just flies by so fast. So tell me, Sue, I'm really curious because 20 plus years with the Chamber, what's the most valuable lesson that you've learned so far?
Every day is something new. It is challenging, but it's an opportunity. I think, and especially in this time frame we're in right now with COVID-19, when you think you've gone through just about every circumstance or experience, and then to have this affecting everyone, it really makes you realize how important it is to have board of directors and support of your board of directors and your members. And every day you just have to be on the ready to realize what the opportunities are and that you can't plan for everything.
Sure. Well, set aside from COVID-19 in your 20-year history, has there been any like shockers or revelations during your experience?
You know, yes, there have been moments. I think any of us, as you indicated, we're 501c6. So being in the nonprofit space and being in that unique environment of fighting every day to obviously show what your mission is, your organization's strengths, and it really, I think you have to be focused and you have to really stay focused on what your overall mission is, communicating that mission, and realizing how important it is to work collaboratively with other organizations. That would just help with everyone's success. And so I honestly, it seems much shorter than 20 years. And it every day of saying, being open to learning and to really try and find individuals that you can learn from and create those relationships.
Fantastic. Well, you know, as we're talking about learning, there's an article that I shared with you. We'll also share it with our viewers. That it was a 2016 article, which I think was really interesting as I formed this question for you. But it was saying, why should your business care about social responsibility was the topic of the article. And the author states that not too long ago, so again, 2016, but not too long ago, businesses may have referred to social responsibility as a small offshoot to maybe public relations, or possibly something that was thrown into maybe their philanthropy department, or even something that was like great for team engagement. But philanthropy has definitely changed. I mean, Sue, 20 plus years, how have you witnessed the changes in this particular atmosphere of business and social responsibility?
Well, I think you hit on it. I think, you know, it has become more of a national and an international level set for organizations to realize, in businesses, and that's really what I think you're asking me about, is local businesses and companies realizing what being a good corporate citizen means and how important it is and how much it matters. And there's many different ways to create your own program or your guiding principles based in and around that, whether it's from your volunteerism or your community partnerships or environmental. You know, there's so many different ways that as businesses or companies or nonprofit organizations, you can create programming and why it matters to the communities that we're in and to the future of our communities.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I recently was having a great conversation with a business owner, and he was saying in Tallahassee, there's an atmosphere and an environment of giving and support and that if you are in business, that you really could not survive in Tallahassee without being socially connected in some form or fashion. And I
I
thought
would
that was
agree.
a very interesting comment. I mean, would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I mean, I think just this weekend, 3 days ago, my husband and I were going for a walk. And again, we're under this new COVID-19 space. And we were reflecting back on the weekend that we would have probably participated in 4 different events or functions to support those organizations or that the community was involved in. And that's a testament to Tallahassee. I think, and we see it with our members, I see it with our board of directors, all of the different programmings they're all involved in because they want to, but they also realize they need to be, because not just for their customers and their consumers, but their employees are going to be looking to that. And that's how they can stay competitive and be a location of choice.
Mm-hmm. And obviously you've grown on that as well too, hence Leadership Tallahassee and how important that
Mm-hmm.
program is to the community as well as to the chamber.
Mm-hmm.
How long has that program been in existence? Because you are developing leaders who are serving on community boards.
So it's 38 classes. I think we're right now just accepted applications for class 38. If I'm off a year, I apologize to Barbara Boone and our board. But to your point, Leadership Tallahassee, not only have they run tremendous programs each year, recognizing through the Distinguished Leadership Awards, individuals that have really given back to the community, but actually one of the class projects started a youth leadership program, meaning that these are high school seniors that are in a group class of their own. And so you talk about really setting that stage early.
Mm-hmm.
Our future generations, that's a tremendous program. And so we see that at a time already where that starts with their seniors in high school, to start that program and say why it's important to understand your community and learn about your community.
Well, that's a great segue into my next question, actually.
Okay.
So there was a Deloitte survey that had been conducted, and 70% of millennials listed their company's commitment to community as an influence on their decision to work for that particular employer. How have you seen our area businesses embrace the community involvement to retain and attract our college graduates in our community?
Well, I think so in a college town, right, that's the other uniqueness that we have, is that we have those close to 60,000 of those, that group, our next generation right here. So a couple things come to mind. As a community, the benefit we have is to let those university students and college students see who we are as a community. So the more they see the community activities and the more we engage with the town and gown of incorporating those individuals, those students, they get a chance to see firsthand what our community does very well as it comes to community engagement involvement. I think also what they do is those students are going to look at businesses who have it as part of their overall philosophy to give back. And if local businesses and companies do not have that opportunity to show that, I think that they're going to find that they're competing with others that do, and they may not be able to recruit the talent that they want to without having programs in place.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And then, on a scale from 1 to 5, Sue, with 1 being poor and 5 being excellent, how would you rate the business sector's social engagement in Tallahassee? From a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being excellent, 1 being poor.
I would probably, so we should never settle on perfection. So I think perfection is one of those things that you very rarely attain, because you always need to be trying to do better. So I would put it at a 4, 4.5.
Okay, and why is that?
I believe that I'm learning and becoming more and more aware of individuals' involvement, not only through their businesses, but individually, of how they are giving back into the community or being socially engaged or being a part of the community. I think I see it even in our board of directors, for instance. We will be talking about a community initiative or an effort, and inevitably they are weighing in not only as the business owner, but as their personal perspective, because I continue to learn how much people are involved in that we might not be aware of. And I think that's maybe an opportunity for us, is to recognize that these individuals are oftentimes serving on boards. They oftentimes are contributing to charitable organizations.
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes to put policies in place for employment, diversification, but they're busy. They're busy about running their businesses, and sometimes not telling the story of what they're doing.
Sure.
So I mean, it's not happening. It just means, to your point, bringing these types of topics forward is wonderful, and I'm very appreciative of you and Annie doing this. But sometimes we just need to tell the story a little bit better because it is happening.
Right. I agree. It's really a great narrative, and I think it's a great example for others to see, even as we're talking about the youth who are coming up within our community, because they can see and hear those stories of examples. And maybe this is a great relationship that we can form, and an opportunity, as you mentioned, with Association of Fundraising Professionals. They have a philanthropy day annually, that maybe this might be a great collaborative opportunity with all of our organizations to get together and recognize those hidden heroes. And it's a matter of telling the story, not necessarily, I know some of them may want to be humble and not necessarily be in the forefront, but telling the story means a lot.
It does. I was going to just add one little piece to that. I think oftentimes, and what we've learned is that individuals have their own stories. I just want to play off of what you said, because I think that's just really important, and it's true. A lot of individuals or businesses might have their own stories that they bring into the situation that they don't talk about, but that's oftentimes where they're tied to and where their interests are. I mean, I'll put one out there that's very large. I mean, when Rick Carney stepped up and helped with the shelter and continues to do that, that dialed all the way back to his early days before being with a technology company and starting Mainline and IBM to he would say he was involved in social issues. He was trying to give back to communities going back early on. So I think there's a lot of stories to individuals as to why they're tied to important causes. And I think sometimes learning more and more about it is a reason for people being involved.
I agree. Thank you for adding that. And then my last question for you, Sue, is what are you hearing from the business leaders about the nonprofit sector as it relates to contributions during this time with COVID-19? Are you hearing any buzz from the leadership of business sector, from the business sector?
You want me to give a perspective from the business community as to what the ask they're receiving? Let me make sure I understand.
If anything, if you're having conversations, which I'm sure you are, I mean, we're talking to our members on a daily basis. Are you having any dialogues with them relating to their support of the nonprofit sector or what's happening in our community regarding nonprofits?
I think on many fronts. Like we can run it through. First and foremost, what COVID has done to our community has been devastating to so many individuals who have lost their jobs. And the realization, and this is kind of a full circle discussion of how important our not-for-profits are, how important United Way, all the services, the human services are to families and individuals that are going through this crisis. And the conversations that are taking place are thankful those services are in place to help so many people in need. But how do we continue to fund those organizations to be able to help the people that are going to be in need when the funders themselves, like the local businesses, have been impacted to their bottom line? And discussion of what will their ability to be moving out of this to be able to contribute. And I think right now it's a bit of the unknown. We're waiting, as you and I were talking, we're waiting in the next 24 hours. We'll have a better idea. I would imagine when this airs, and thank you again, we'll be in the next phase of COVID, the reopening process of our community. But the realization is that our economy has been impacted by this significantly. And it's going to be difficult for a lot of funding opportunities. And we just need to work together and really realize, yes, it is going to impact. And the businesses, it hurts them to know they can't contribute, but they also know they're going to need to get back the dollars in place and the revenue back in place so they can continue to do what they've done in the past. But this is a challenging time. We'll get through it. Mm-hmm. We have to realize we need to be together as a community as we work through this.
Right. Well, I'm looking forward to the other side of this, Sue, because Absolutely. I'm just really excited about the innovation the collaborations that will happen as a result of going through this pandemic. I think it will make our community stronger. As you alluded to earlier, the collaborations is how we can actually get through this. And that's really working together.
Well, I want to recognize and commend Annie for the programming and what you all are doing to really help build that within the community and collaborating together. I think it's just a great example, and for the opportunity to have the chamber on. I appreciate that very much. So thanks for what you all are doing and for your personal leadership on this. But it's important, and we will get through this, but we really need to pull together as a community and help those in greatest need, but realizing our economy has to get back on level footing to make it through this.
Agree. Well, on lighter notes, Sue, what's your favorite vacation spot?
Oh, anywhere with a beach.
Anywhere with a beach. Okay.
And now more than likely driving distance.
That's true.
I think the ability to walk, just to be able to walk and just kind of clear our minds a little bit, give a little bit of space. That's kind of where I've gotten to, especially with my husband. We just have learned through this. So with every crisis comes an opportunity, and I think it's interesting. I think this is going to really change the way we do things, and I think as a community, and I find myself in multiple conversations every day of people. I had one this morning on a driveway really early with somebody because we needed to see each other, but we were really socially distancing, and we looked at each other and said, I don't know if we'll go back exactly to how everything was before. And that's okay. That'll be okay.
How we operate. Well, you learn to appreciate those relationships a lot more. Those places, the beaches, the restaurants, you appreciate them a lot more, of course, now that you don't have easy access to them. Favorite binge watching so far from COVID-19? Got a favorite?
What was the second question? Favorite binge? What was the second question?
No, do you have a favorite one?
You know what we're doing? No, we're bouncing around a lot. We typically don't sit in front of the TV or computer to watch. I just don't have time to do that really at night, or we elect to do other things. But we've been watching some good documentaries, some sports-oriented documentaries. We did, when you have kids that are in their mid to late 20s, and you kind of look to them and you hear some of the things that are out there popular. We did watch a little bit of Homeland, which was intriguing. It's a little bit intense, and I've realized I don't need intensity in my life right now. But it was interesting. I think there's some historical perspective to that as well, if you follow. But yeah, how about you?
Oh wow, I've caught them all. Those are my escapes by far. I found that working from home, you have to set boundaries, because other than that, you can literally work 24/7.
Absolutely.
And so setting some boundaries and enjoying a little binge watching has been a favorite of mine. 100 Humans has been a really good educational one. By far, I've fallen in love with Ozark. So if you really want a nice...
I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've watched that.
Yeah, it's an intellectual criminal show. That's the one for you, Sue.
Well, it's funny. Don't you find with some of those, like sometimes I'll get into it. First of all, the ability for people to write, it's just episode after episode. But I find myself sometimes watching those, and then it's just like, okay, I got to take a break, because I can rattle off 2 to 3 or 4 that have gotten like that. Homeland one, Ozark was one where I have to step away. Sometimes I don't go back, but they're very talented writers.
Very. Well, Sue, thank you so much for sharing, giving us a perspective from the business side, and then sharing a little bit about yourself as well. We appreciate your time in the blue seat. We do appreciate that, and look forward to future collaborations as well.
Thanks, Felina. Appreciate you. Thanks so much.
You.
Be safe. All right. Bye-bye.